Lads, we're back.
We are fully formed.
Fully formed. Yeah. Oh, well, last episode you weren't here, right,
I was
Daniel?
not. Some election coverage.
Yeah.
Kept me busy.
You seen all the signs around. It's like some people listen, you can see some candidates put more effort into their city council spots and that more than others, but your sign's not going to make me vote for you. Well, I'm not going to vote for municipal stuff. I don't know if I can as a non-Canadian citizen. I know federal,
Oh,
obviously, I can't, but
I don't
or
think
whatever.
I'm not
But
sure. I never actually looked into that.
well,
Interesting story I could put up for CGRU.
what? Try and find out.
Yeah.
Research into PRs and their voting thingy. I mean, go ahead, man.
Yeah.
I don't. Let's say interview him, but you can't because we're friends.
Yeah, we can't.
Yeah. Okay. But the NHL season starts tomorrow. Well, it started because there were the two games overseas, but everyone just sort of forgot about that. Helps if you have Nashville Predators on your fantasy team like I do, and Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
So that's nice. Even though I'm facing Alex in week one, he's McDavid, so that'll catch up pretty quickly. Let's hope McDavid has a slow start to the year for my sake. Anyway,
McDavid, Crosby, the list. The
you
list
got
goes
Pat.
on.
You got some of my favorite players.
I got too many centers, but like it's worth it. It's
Hey,
worth
if
it
you
this
want
year.
Matty Beniers, I'll take Crosby off your hands.
Okay.
I'll give you a
We'll
little
talk.
discount.
We'll talk about that Mason McTavish, Nick Suzuki three-way trade.
Yeah, we need to get that done. We need to get that done. Okay. Well, lads, there's a lot going on in hockey. A lot of bad stuff going on, unfortunately. Some pretty serious allegations. Some pretty Hockey Canada stuff is getting worse. Some stuff to do with the Oilers organization, mainly Bakersfield and all that kind of stuff. But I guess to open the show, today's an interesting day because rosters are getting set. We're starting to see them, and waivers are going to be really interesting. I kind of forgot they were at 2 p.m. again.
Yeah.
And I was refreshing Twitter at midday. I'm like, okay, what's happening? What's happening with Wayne Simmons? Who the Habs sending down? And then I just saw this news come out. I'm like, this has nothing to do with waiver wires. What's going on exactly? That's very strange. Anyway, I guess to start, oh, geez, where do we start, guys? I actually don't know. Do you guys have a particular story? I think we wait towards the back half of the show to really go into the whole. I guess we can put the whole
No.
very the Hockey Canada stuff
Yep.
and all that.
Sure.
Do
You want to do the extensions?
might as well. There are a lot of them.
3, 4 are 3.
I think it's three main ones: Jason Robertson, Mackenzie Weegar, and Matthew Barzal. Robertson sort of slid under the notes. I thought maybe DeBrincat had re-signed, but I guess that was actually just sort of that's been in the background. Apparently, it's
Speculation so far.
It could be coming, which that's going to be tremendous for the Sens. But teams having good off seasons sort of continued, and we'll get to obviously we'll get to Calgary in a second with Weegar, but we'll start with Matthew Barzal.
Sure.
It is an 8-year deal with the Islanders, of course. It is worth $73.2 million. 8 years. AAV 9.150. Surprised his number's not in there. I see. What number is Barzal? Is he 91? No.
He's
What number is
13,
Matthew
13,
Barzal?
13, 13.
13. That's a weird number. Anyway,
How did I not know that?
13,
I don't-
which is his estimated career earnings.
Oh,
According to, yeah. Sorry, I just pulled that up. I just noticed it.
there's modified no trade clauses towards, aka years 2 through 8 of the deal. This is all according to Cap Friendly. What do we think of the deal, guys? Maybe a little rich, but there are a lot of RFA years. Let's see, no, there's just one RFA,
Yeah.
or one or two RFA years sort of built there. So I guess it's mainly UFA years in there. But for those of you who care about that kind of stuff, the Islanders needed to keep them,
yeah, they did.
and they do.
It's pretty solid, I think. For the number they got him at, had a bit of a weird season last year. I didn't know what the number was going to be after that, but this might be a deal that I think is going to look like a semi-bargain going forward, especially if Barzal bounces back.
He needs to. He's on my fantasy team. So please, Matthew.
I think he will bounce back. Like, I think points wise, again, like we're gonna have to see what they play like under Lane Lambert. Like this, I think I believe was Lane Lambert in Detroit or he was with New York. I imagine I can't see it being drastically different than how they played under Barry Trotz, but we could see more of an offensive Matthew Barzal. That being said, like the numbers might not necessarily be there, but I absolutely think it'll be a bounce back year for Matthew Barzal, as it will be for the rest of that team. I just think like they got killed last year with starting on the road. They had their COVID issues, and I mean, not a great season for them overall. And I think they had trouble, I think, coming back from that. Now I'm going to have to say it again. This contract starts not this year, starts next year. Also, 9.15 this year and next year mean absolutely nothing when the cap shoots up by like $5 million the year after, and then another $5 million the year after that. Like to me, yes, maybe the number is a little rich, but honestly, by the time this contract actually starts, I think it could be absolutely fair value for Matthew Barzal.
I like to point out one thing. If we ever do a re-updated version of the bingo card, we need to add but the cap goes up.
So I am wondering if maybe Lane Lambert, because I want to say maybe sometimes, sorry, that I think he may have been the power play guy with Barry. They have been together. So obviously I was looking at Lane Lambert, and he started as an assistant in Nashville, then in Washington, then the Islanders. Right. So I think he has been on Barry Trotz's staff since 2011, 2012. Pretty good guy to learn from, to be honest with you. But yeah, even like he left Washington at the same time. You may be thinking of Derek Lalonde, because I think you mentioned Detroit.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
Shame they never got Gerard Gallant, but whatever. Maybe I can't remember if he was the guy who ran the power play in Washington. But maybe, Matthew Barzal is too skilled of a player, too smooth a skater, the type of guy that I think should excel in the game today. It is a lot of money right now. It is. And I think what just doesn't help it at the moment, if we're talking a lot about the future, let's talk about the moment, is obviously the way the cap is now, and the Islanders are just sort of so stagnant. I think this is the first bit of positive news they've had that, well, this and the Noah Dobson extension, maybe, because it's the only sort of real noteworthy thing about the Islanders lately. No. So, if they were going to improve and there's going to be scoring, it had to be from guys already on the team. The Dogs are going nuts right now, if you can hear that. But hey, I don't hate it. You lock up Matthew Barzal for 8 years. There's nothing wrong with that. They don't have another star center who's going to leave the organization, so they should be pretty happy about that. Not taking a dig, but I'm just saying.
Keep things together. Yeah. I mean, that's the best thing you could hope for, right?
Yeah.
The guys that you expect to bounce back or get better, you sign them for the longer deals, and you just hope last year was an anomaly. So I think they did what they wanted to do in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, for the sake of my fantasy team and the minus 15 points that we get for goalie losses, I really hope they don't lose a lot of games, because I'm riding Ilya Sorokin.
Do you guys want to get your fantasy teams up just so we can tell everyone who we have on our teams?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because I feel like we started the fantasy league, obviously. So it's a lot of fun. I think not everyone in it, most of the people in it we've had on the podcast, the exclusion, one of Alex's friends, and Scott, who at one time we went to school with, not my brother Scott, obviously. But I'll go first because I have it up already. Right. My goalies are Jacob Markstrom, Spencer Knight, and Jordan Binnington is just there on the bench because if I need wins. Markstrom's the big one. Alex was upset I stole him, but then, Alex stole everyone I wanted. I picked up Charlie McAvoy, and he's just going to sit on the bench until he's healthy, or he'll be a trade chip. Nino Niederreiter, who I picked up actually earlier today off because he was a free agent, and I thought, why not? Joel Eriksson-Ek, Jacob Verana, we're making the bet he's going to be healthy. Matty Beniers, because Mike's a dick and took Cole Caulfield. Lucas Raymond, Matthew Barzal, Alex Pietrangelo, Chris Letang, Roman Yossi, Clayton Keller, Tyler Petrucci, Kucherov, Nylander, Forsberg, Robert Thomas, my guy, and Sebastian Aho is finally on the team I cheer for. That is William Nylander, obviously.
Okay, I was about to ask.
Not
Alex. Okay.
Who got put on waivers, and I think he cleared.
Yeah,
So yeah. I'm just looking. Roman Yossi is percent started 99%. What are the other 1% doing? Anyway,
sometimes
Alex, you are.
This is what happens in drafts. Is sometimes friends do there's 4 of them, for example.
Yeah.
That go into this, or 3 of them, and then it's just so stacked each team that you can't simply keep everybody. So that's what
Roman
ends up
Yossi.
happening.
That's weird. Alex, you are deputy commissioner, so what do you
Oh
got?
my god, yeah. I'll go with my forwards first. I forgot that's what I was named. I got Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, Andrei Svechnikov, Evander Kane, Jonathan Marchessault, Alexis Lafreniere. Yeah, I took it. I took Lafreniere. Patrice Bergeron, Braden Point, Rupe Hintz, Mason McTavish. Sorry, Daniel, had to take him. He was my breakout player. Got to do it. Also, my Calder winner. He was my Calder winner. Drysdale was my breakout player. And Jacob Voracek. On D, I have Moritz Sider, Shea Theodore, Dougie Hamilton, Tony D'Angelo, Noah Hannafin, and Tyson Berry.
A lot of
Need,
legends.
need
there.
those points. Need those points.
And then on the back end, I only have 2 goalies because I'm like, screw it. Like, I'm not like I don't want to deal with the worry about losing 15 points for a loss. Is Ilya Sorokin and Jack Campbell.
Not
Your
bad.
boy.
Yeah.
Wow. Tyson Berry and Jack Campbell.
Yeah. Well, listen, the thing was, like, I wanted Markstrom, and then Adam took Markstrom, and then I'm like, I don't really feel confident in any of the other goaltenders. Like, I was thinking of Thatcher Demko, but then I'm like, I don't know what the Canucks are going to be this year. And so I went with Jack Campbell because they're probably going to win a lot of games.
I like to say a line that I just thought of.
Let's hear it.
Jack Campbell and Tyson Berry reunited in reality and fantasy.
Hey, that's not bad, man. What's your fantasy team looking like there, Daniel?
All right, so I took 3 goalies.
Smart man, top man.
Pretty obvious. Marc-Andre Fleury,
Yeah.
Connor Hellebuck, and John Gibson.
Daniel, I feel like there's a lot of take with your heart there.
Yeah, prepare for the next ones.
I was talking to Will and Mike, and they were like, the moment we saw Fleury available, they knew you were going for him.
You know what they said to me when I met up with them after? They're like, what? They were talking about what were the chances, because I had first overall. They're like, what are the chances that I was going to take Austin Matthews first? I'm like, I wanted it. And Will's like, you were the only person in that draft that did not want first overall. I'm like, yeah, that's true. Like, at second, I could reasonably take Austin Matthews. It's just not at first.
Here's what's annoying. So before you keep going, Daniel, I did a bunch of mock drafts, mainly around 5, because I felt confident that, and then they did some at 9 and 10, and I'm like, the only spot I don't want to draft is 7 or 8. I feel like I know what I'm doing at every other position, and I picked 7. I still like the team. I like how we look. I like the lads, but was not happy to see I was 7. Go ahead with the rest of your team.
Okay. I'll go with the forwards first, then I'll go to defensemen and my 2 IR guys. So my 2 centers are Alex Barkov, Nick Suzuki. Sorry.
Yeah,
Adam.
thanks.
Left
so funny.
wingers are Steven Stamkos and Kirill Kaprizov. Then right
You also
wingers
took Kaprizov when I wanted him, but I'll take Kucherov. Thanks, Daniel.
I think
Right.
that was, but I think when he took Kaprizov, I think that was like auto draft because you were on the
I was at
subway.
work still.
Or yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
You
there's-
would have taken Kaprizov anyway, let's be honest.
Yeah, but like, what are the chances?
My right wingers are Timo Meyer and Brian Rust. Extra forward is Evgeny Kuznetsov. I actually contemplated, like, should I put this guy on my no draft list? But I said no. There's too much talent there. Defensemen, and these are for the points. Torrey Krug, Rasmus Anderson, Jamie Drysdale, and Mikhail Sergachev.
Yeah, that's why you took Drysdale.
Utility, Anton Lundell and Ryan Johansson.
Lindell was a good pick, by the way. Johansson, you picked up a free agent, right?
Yes, I did.
That was a good pick.
My bench at the moment are Jacob Slavin, Matt Dumba, Kalen Addison.
You
And my IR guys so far are Gabriel Landeskog and John Tavares.
very good. Very good. Listen. You have the heart team. Alex, I think, has the best offensive output team, and I don't quite know how to describe my team, but good group of guys. High character team, mine. High character.
And that's what's
We all want to win
fantasy.
for each other.
Sounds like my Pep.
Listen, I got Philip Forsberg, man. He was like top 3 in goals per game last year. Listen, my team is headed off by Kucherov, Yossi, and Markstrom. I'm happy with that. Very happy with that. But here's what's annoying is I didn't think I had a strategy where I thought I could take Jack Hughes, but here's the thing: Will apparently was reading up that his big thing was take Jack Hughes later in the draft, and then my mock drafts at 7 and 8. I every time I did it, I left with Lindholm, and Hughes, and Will took Lindholm and Hughes, and I was really mad about it. Really, really mad about it. Back to extension talk because we're talking about Will, and he was out with his Flames jersey. The Flames, I think, have officially, if there was any doubt, have won the Matthew Tkachuk trade. They obviously re-signed Jonathan Huberdeau, and before the season starts, they cut off the deadline. They re-signed Mackenzie Weegar, the other part of that team. It is an 8-year deal, which is long. It is very long, and he is 28 right now. It's worth $50 million, which is pretty good. It's pretty nice. That's good for him. That's a lot of money. The AAV is $6.25 million. That core is locked up. They are going to win some games. Very good. Maybe some playoff rounds. Maybe they're going to bring the cup back to Canada. We like to think so, but tidy business from Treliving. That defense is just ridiculous.
Yeah, another argument as to why he is champion of the offseason. In my eyes.
Come on, Dorian.
And I believe I named him my GM of the year. I think
you did, and you had them winning the cup as well.
I did. Yeah, no, that was crazy when I said that. I mean, like, it's a lot of money. I like it. Again, like the cap, but whatever. Like, I'm more so curious as to what their defense looks like next year, because I feel like that's a lot of. Wait a second, I'm a liar. Milan Lucic is coming off the books at the end of this year. So, like, never mind. There's my answer. The defense is going to look the same. I missed that. But I'd be curious to know how everything looks moving forward once that contract extension kicks in. Obviously, they're still going to be a good team with the guys they have locked up. But more so, like, how are they going to build around it is what I'm curious about. Like, I'm not saying it's not going to work. I'm just curious as to what that looks like.
I have Cap Friendly up if you want me to quickly read who's going to be around next year and that if you'd like. Sure. So under contract for 23-24 season is Noah Hannafin, but he'll be a UFA that summer. Christopher Tanev, who will be a UFA that summer. Nikita Zadorov, who will be a UFA that summer. And Oliver Shillington, who is a UFA that summer. Rasmus Anderson, of course, has 4 more years as of right now. And Mackenzie Weegar, obviously right now, is 9 years because this contract kicks in next year, obviously, Alex. And if you want to know the forwards, we know Kadri just got the big deal. Huberdeau starts next year. 3 years for Mangiapane. Backlund's 2 years, 1 year for Lucic. Coleman's 5 years, and then every other forward is 2 or 1 year. So realistically, the only long-term contracts they have are those sort of core guys, and then everything around there is just sort of whoosh, disappear. So not the worst spot to really be in. I know there's a lot made about the age of those older guys, but the rest of the team actually looks pretty flexible.
And they've kept their...
They have to win in the next 2 years.
Yeah. They've kept their forward prospects too, which is something that you could look at as cheap depth moving forward. Like, Connor Zeri's still there. Jacob Pertier's still there. So they could do something. I have this feeling that because there's so many moving parts to this, where I'm not saying they're not going to be bad. Like, I think they're going to be great, but I kind of feel like this is going to be the year that they're going to see how everything gels together. And then maybe next year is when they make that step towards actually winning the cup.
Oh, I forgot about Jacob Markstrom as well, by the way, who is there for a long time.
So just 2 points on the Flames. Like, first off, it's nuts they have Elias Lindholm at 2 more years at 4.85. I just want to put that out there. Disgusting. Secondly, we're talking about like this core. What's crazy to me is how they literally went from one core to the next in terms of the top guys in that core in one summer. No more Monahan, no more Goudreau, and no more Tkachuk. They bring in Kadri and Huberdeau, and then obviously add Weegar to the mix. And then I guess we can, and they still have Lindholm, right? Like, they made, to me, like, just an absolute 180. and then and didn't and got better. They got rid of the old guys and brought the original guys and brought in new guys, and they got better.
It's impressive, man. It's impressive. They should be happy, those fans. Pretty good. Stars fans should also be happy because Jason Robertson has been re-signed. Important thing I want to say off the top here. At the end of this deal, it's 4 years. Jason Robertson will still be an RFA, apparently, which is very interesting. Dallas Stars bring him in, the big goal scorer. Very good to see. 4 years, as I said, it's worth $31 million. Still an incredible amount of money. 7.750 is the cap hit. A $3 million signing bonus this year. Just this year. Don't know why, but it's there. Base salary is $8 million, 9.2, then 9.3. We still don't understand how the qualifying offer stuff works, but whatever.
Man, I was convinced the rule changed. Like, I was honestly so convinced that the rule had changed, and I guess I was wrong.
I still believe you, but then everyone else is it. I don't get how the CBA works. I don't think the teams do. I mean, Jim Benning definitely didn't. But I mean, fair. I mean, I think that was maybe a year more than some people thought, but the cap hit, I think we were joking around 3 years, 7 to 8 million, and then there it goes.
Well, it's what Friedman has been saying for, I don't know, like months.
Every episode of the 32 Soft Tour.
Literally every time Jason Robertson is brought up, it's 3 by 7.5, and all we got was 4 by 7.75 or 7.75. So, like, it's not much of a surprise. Good deal. He'll get paid in 4 years. And paid with a capital P.
$31 million. Like, I don't even know what I would do with that much. Just like throwing that out there. Daniel, what do you think? You're a big Robertson guy.
I like it a lot. I think with the Stars, we've mentioned what does that core kind of look like, and it's one step towards building for the future. We don't know what they're going to do with the contracts. I know they still want to try to squeeze into the playoffs again, because that's really where I place them as of right now. But it is a clearer picture of what they're trying to build there for the future. What I like is they're paying their draft picks, and they're doing it without having to, with the exception of Miro Heiskanen, they've actually done pretty well with getting guys not in the top 10 and making something out of it. Like 2017 is probably the game changer for them. When I mentioned Heiskanen, mentioned Ottinger, mentioned Jason Robertson now. If you could keep doing that, then I think that the Stars are going to be a lot better moving forward. But it is going to be an LA Kings version of it, I think, in my opinion, because you cannot simply trade any of those big contracts.
Technical difficulties. Alex's Rogers internet has come for him yet again.
No comment.
It's like the shark in Jaws. You're gonna need I don't know, better internet booster thing. I don't know how it works. Anyway, before we were saying, so Justin Barron got cut.
No, you're gonna have to go farther back than that. I didn't even hear it. I didn't even get to that. I think we were still talking about Jason Robertson.
Okay. Well, we like the deal.
Yeah,
I love him.
Good. Okay. Yes. So going to roster stuff now. Did you hear me say that 5 p.m. today is the big day?
Yeah,
for roster?
that is the last thing I heard.
Okay, cool. The Habs made the waiver claim, make a big defenseman, Jonathan Kovacic, something like that. Apparently he was good in the AHL for the Jets. They lost him the waivers, asset management. They're great at that. Fantastic. So that's good. So beside that, here are the big things. These are the Canadians that apparently have made the team. They're all defensemen. No, Sapkowski's not a defenseman. Adam, you idiot. Caden Gould has made the team. I think he was probably the biggest standout on defense. Arbor Jacki, after humiliating the Sens, has made the team. By the way, shout out to the Habs going 0-8 in the preseason. Jordan Harris has made the team, which I don't know why that was noteworthy. Cool. And Uri Slafkovsky has started. I think people are really hoping this is going to be an 8 or like he's going to do the 9-game thing, because he had maybe one excellent game and the rest were pretty mid. He was skating on the second line today, for anyone who was curious. I had the lines of, they had Monahan like third line winger, which was very interesting to see. I do have the Leafs lineup here, by the way. So amongst other things going on, and there are a lot of things to do with the Leafs and Habs we're going to get to in a second here. Because when I first wrote these notes down, Slavkovsky had that really good game against the Leafs, and then he was just sort of not great. Um, anyway, though, I like that. Caden Gooley, very good to see. When it comes to the Leafs, waivers are going to be interesting today. This is why I hate the fact that waivers are at 2 o'clock now and not at midday Eastern time. Because I thought they were at 12, and I'm like, I said this already, didn't I? I was waiting to see the news, but so these were the lines at Leafs practice. Because one of the things I put down was who was going to be second line winger
today. Sorry, when were these Leafs lines today?
51 minutes ago from Mark Masters.
All right.
Yes. Matthews, Marner, Bunting, Tavares, Nylander, Dennis Malgin is skating second line wing.
The official return of Dennis Malgin. I love it.
Engvall, Kerfoot, Yarncroke, Aston Reese with Kampf and Abe Kubel, Holmberg, and Robertson, the extra guys. Brody, Riley, Muzzin-Hall, Sandy, Giordano, Krall, and Villeneuve as the extra guys. Matt Murray seems to be the starter over Ilya Samsonov. So, obviously, I didn't mention a certain name there, Adam Gaudette, and Wayne Simmons, who I think we can all assume is maybe going to be a Philadelphia Flyer by the end of the day.
You think so?
Apparently, Friedman was saying so. That apparently the Flyers are interested in him. I think he was saying something about Foligno too, because Foligno's on. Mike Riley's on waivers. There are some decent names.
I was surprised.
Lexi Hipponemi.
The Mike Riley one I was really surprised with because they don't have Charlie McAvoy.
Yeah, it's just hey Boston. But hey, so apparently, you know what I really liked the last couple of days? You know the videos of what's his name? Nashville's GM, David Poyle, like telling Cody Glass he had made the team, and then Minnesota did the same thing with Kalen Addison and Marco Rossi. Apparently, Caden Gooley said that Marty St. Louis brought him, Slavkovsky, Harrison, Jack Guy in to let them know they had made the roster.
That's cool.
I'd like a video of that, please. I'd very much like a video of that. Because those are cool moments. Okay. With the Leafs, are we surprised Simmons got waived? Are we surprised?
A little bit, but not really. Like I think I think if you look at how last year ended for him, to be honest, I thought the sign of, we'll call it his end of tenure with the Maple Leafs, was when they traded for Kyle Clifford. That might be extreme. Like I think, and listen, I'm using complete 2020 hindsight on it, but it just like what was the point of bringing Kyle Clifford in? Like and I think they did it a few times. It's just, why are you going to play Kyle Clifford and Wayne Simmons on the fourth line on the same night? What's the objective? What are you getting out of that? Who's that helping?
Tampa.
Well,
Tampa in game one.
Not really, because they got killed, but they lost that game 5-0.
I know, but just let me make the joke.
Okay, no, I get. Okay, sorry. Okay, fine, fair. You make the joke. I just, to me, what was the point of bringing Kyle Clifford in? I mean, at the same time, but like, it's not like Kyle Clifford's any better than Wayne Simmons at this moment. Mm-hmm. Career-wise, yes, Wayne Simmons has had a freaking incredible career. Like, we don't even have to have that debate.
Fantastic Flyer, yeah.
He was an all-star.
Yeah, we don't have to. We don't need to get into. We'll get into that later with a certain Mr. Someone. We're not going to mention his name, but yeah, it's just I don't know where he necessarily fits on this team right now. If he wants to play in the NHL, I don't know where he fits on this team when you have someone like Kyle Clifford, who right now can do the same job as Wayne Simmons, and is more than okay playing in the AHL. And he did that last year in Toronto with the Marlies and played with the Leafs. Like, that's the thing for me. If he wants to play NHL, I don't think it's going to happen in Toronto consistently.
I think at this point too, they're pretty interchangeable, especially at Wayne Simmons' point of his career, and the injuries and what the production looks like, even towards the playoffs, it's just really not what you initially thought of what you were getting with Wayne Simmons, where it's going to be that guy who's going to fight for you, who's going to defend for you, but is still going to try to chip in at least a bit more of energy from that bottom six. But at this point, the way it's been, I think, especially for the speed aspect of it, I agree that if you're going to keep Kyle Clifford there, then Wayne Simmons is gone.
It's funny at the moment Simmons signed that 2-year extension. I don't think a lot of us saw him playing the second year.
No.
I'm not surprised. When he was first played, I was like, ooh, but then I thought about him like, no. I think we talked about there was a real chance that he wasn't going to make it through it. Which is a shame. He was obviously loyal, loved the team. Remember, he turned down the Canadians to obviously go to the Leafs. I was bitter about that, I remember. And then I obviously, when the playoffs happened, I was very yelled about Wayne Simmons, about what happened there, and have fun. But I respect for Wayne Simmons, and that just a hell of a player. I don't want to just talk about like his career is done, but people don't talk enough about just how much of a force he was, especially when he was a Flyer. God, he was so good. He was so good, and he kind of missed his big payday, because if he was a UFA like a year earlier, he was going to get it. But what was he went to? Was it Nashville he went to first? And then they tried him on the power play, just didn't work. Then he went to New Jersey for like a year for
got that $5 million deal, yeah.
And it just didn't work. It just didn't work. Yeah. Oh God. Do you guys agree that Samsonov should be the backup here and Murray starts? Because I like Samsonov. Well, I don't like him, but I like him compared to Murray.
You could keep playing them.
That's my thought. Does it matter? Does it matter? Does it matter is the question.
No.
I'm gonna use EA as an example. What I used to do if I had a tandem, I'd play the guy, and then if you lost 2 in a row, you go to the next guy, and then you just continue that until you see who grabs it.
So are you asking who's going to start Wednesday night? Is that what?
If I'm seeing Matt Murray there today, I'm assuming that means he's starting against the Canadians.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
You play Murray Wednesday, Samsonov Thursday against Washington, Murray Saturday against Ottawa.
Okay, fair enough.
Let the fun begin. Is all I'll say.
I mean, he did play well against the Canadians in that preseason game. Remember that save he made on Slavkovsky?
Sure.
Now, again, that was preseason and that, but, just go for it. And they also, with the cap room they have left, the Leafs did sign Zach Aston-Reese, obviously, which I think we were all waiting to see happen. Whatever. Good depth player.
He'll play on the fourth line, for sure.
He'll
There's
be
no
out there to
question.
defend the leads.
Yeah.
Remember when Pierre Maguire was like, Zach Aston-Reese, great guy. Forget analytics. They need character guys like this. And everyone was like, yeah, the advanced analytics say he's one of the best defensive players in the league. So, yeah.
You're right, Pierre, on this one.
Yeah. 2 bits of news with the Canadians as well, if we go back to them quickly. First off, Owen Beck gets his ELC. Very well deserved. Very, very well deserved. The problem is it was offsetted by Logan Mailloux receiving his. Now, here's the thing, is, because we are in Southern Ontario, the Lou Lamoriello saying of if you have time, use it is sort of edged into a lot of our minds. And you know what? It's not always necessary to use all your time. But I think in Logan Mailloux's situation, the Canadians had this entire season, not only to sort of examine his character further, but to also evaluate his playing style, because obviously he has not played games, very few games since he was drafted. I don't think I need to continue to say how I don't want him as part of the organization. He'll be in Montreal for a few more days because I guess his shoulder's in the point where he can practice. But he will be returning to the London Knights. Eric Engel said the Canadians had told him. Chantel Mackenbay on Twitter did sort of have this thing of that people were sort of battling about her straightening out exactly what the accusations were, and then having a thing of questioning second chances. I just continue to make the point that I believe in second chances, but I don't think that second chance should be with the Montreal Canadiens. That feels like a reward rather than sort of your second chance. That's just me, though.
Fair.
Yeah.
Daniel, go ahead. Sorry. Didn't want to cut you off there.
Oh, no, yeah. It's just Adam, of course, you were the expert on this situation, and if you're gonna send him down regardless, and it's not like there's still time towards this, just let him play the full season in London and then just see where things go. Because I know that there's still a lot of that injury factor, and there is just really like I think my feeling is that there's a quick turnaround towards all of this because it has been more than a year, but like you said, he hasn't played a lot of games. We really hasn't really seen the full assessment on it, and I don't know. It's just a tricky situation right now. I don't know. Like that's all I can say about it.
He's played 12 games since he was drafted.
I don't get it. Feels like a reward. Like what was his punishment? The fine? I believe the fine was like less than $5,000. I want to say off the top of my head, I could be wrong. Please don't quote me on this. I want to say it was in the realm of around like $2,800.
The fine from where? From
Sweden for taking the for the unconsensual picture he took. Yes. So again, it's just I don't know what the punishment has been. And there still hasn't been made clear what he's done of his own volition that wasn't sort of required of him to do. So again, it's just sort of you had sort of time to further evaluate. I just don't get why you gave him the contract now. And even to say you offer to it and he's like, oh, I'm about to re-enter the draft or whatever, then screw it. Let him go get the compensation for the draft. I think it was like Marco D'Amico had this really good analysis of it, and they would get the extra pick or something, or I think it's a second rounder or something in this year's draft, which is stacked. I just don't get it. I just is the right for a right D that good for you that you need to sort of go out and when you have a lot of talented young defensemen already? I just don't get why you had to go out and do this with a kid who hasn't earned it. I'm going to stand by that. Like, I don't get it. Just doesn't add up to me. Doesn't add up to me. All right. Sorry. Zoom for some reason doesn't recognize that Alex has 60 gigabytes of data on this thing. So we had to quickly cut out there. But yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say the thing is with Logan Mayhew. Like it doesn't make sense. He had time to make the decision. He hasn't faced any consequences for his action. I saw a lot of people saying the victim in all of this, the survivor, is what's lost. And if your measure is it's not as bad as what has now come out about Ian Cole allegedly, you're just missing the point. Like you're so missing the point. Some people are so thick-skulled. I cannot believe it. And we're going to talk about this. Now, listen, over the summer, I have picked fun at Ian Cole for a lot of stuff. Now, that is one thing. And the Canes not sort of everything that happened with that reporter and sort of not saying a congratulations in the rest of your career when they didn't re-sign him is one thing. Now, what's come out is much more serious, okay? Ian Cole, I'm going to get the exact statement up here. It seems to be a burner account of somebody came out probably wanting to sort of keep their identity a secret for now. Obviously, we don't. This is ongoing as it is. Tampa have suspended him at the moment. The NHL are looking into it. But the Twitter account is called Emily Smith. If you want to check out the statement for yourself, it's at Emily_Smith, EMILY_SMITH 3333. That's the letter 3, obviously, 3333. Basically accusing Ian Cole, defenseman for the Tampa Bay Lightning, of grooming, amongst other things. Some stuff about sort of having sex with a minor. Ugly stuff. Difficult to read. I think it's important to, though. Again, right now, Tampa were pretty quick. I think it was. I don't think they were. So I saw this come out, and then you know how sometimes Twitter will then throw out a tweet randomly 2 days ago that you may have seen, like 2 days later, like this is a tweet from 2 days ago. I saw Greg Wyshynski talk about this the day I saw the statement come out, and his stuff was previous to it. Sort of, it was previous to the NHL's sort of statement on everything, right, in the investigation. So I feel like there was a bit of delay on this, but we don't have all the details yet. Of course, the thing is always sort of beliefs. I saw this very dumb tweet, a very dumb tweet. That was someone replying saying, "Isn't it funny how these people come out with accusations when these guys have made millions or whatever?" Which is just stupid. First off, Ian Cole has been in the league for a long time. He's at the tail end of it now. Your argument doesn't make any sense. Second off, a response like that is why people don't come forward for this type of stuff. So don't be part of the problem, idiots. We'll see what happens. I don't know what we can say right now, other than, for the love of God, if it's true, you'd like to sort of a proper investigation, proper sort of justice to come here. But again, it's alleged right now, and we have to see what happens. But I think that Twitter account, I'm sure that, again, we don't know the identity, but I don't know if the DMs are open or on it, but I'm sure it's going to be getting like a lot of traction. We're going to see what's happened. I'm sure the teams have resources where they're going to get in touch. Ian Cole released a statement basically obviously denying the allegations, as you expect he would. Along with that, some other stuff that was going on. This to do with the Oilers, or mainly their AHL team. Sorry, just give me a second. I thought I had it on my phone, but I have it on my Mac instead. My apologies. This is from the Bakersfield Condors on Twitter. Earlier today, we became aware that Bakersfield Condors head athletic trainer Chad Drown had been charged with very serious felony offenses related to contacting a minor to commit a sexual offense in the state of California. We are shocked and dismayed by the news, and Mr. Drown has been relieved of his duties immediately. Okay, so since we can sort of talk about that, this gentleman has been, or I shouldn't call him a gentleman, that this sort of monster, we can call him, has been charged with a felony here. It sort of sounds like that's basically sort of what I think like Chris Hansen and that was to do, is they would almost set up a sting, and I think the charge would be like attempted sort of contact with a minor or something like that. How in the world? I had a conversation with someone about this, and what they said to me was, where was the background check? How did they not know?
Do you want the answer on that?
Even if it's in another country, I don't know where Bakersfield is actually, but I'm sure, obviously, and I say that because Oilers in Canada, if they didn't, but still, how is there not a background check done on that? Remember, people like, and I only mention this because it's the first thing that came off the top of my head. And something very different. When Dusty Emu was hired to be, was it the Marlies or was it the Leafs goaltending coach?
Marlies
goalie coach, and it was like, why did no one check these sort of very problem tweets he was liking? How did you not do a background check? Or how did this not come up if you did what, or this seems very basic. That's what I want to know.
Just trying to figure out if the charge was recent or if it was from the past, unless I completely missed it, but I'm just reading that, looking for that now. Because the way the tweet is written, it seems as if this is something that has happened extremely recently, but it can't find that. So I'm going to keep going because I think changes. Let's see.
What's concerning is he was apparently a trainer on the U18 Team Canada.
Yeah.
Which is just sort of like, oh my sweet merciful God, please don't tell me that there's another sort of thing there. But like how? That is a good point though, Alex, to find out sort of how exactly like how old it is. It's a very good point. It's also very fresh, so maybe we'll see more. But again, it's sort of, here's what's really annoying about when news like this comes out at this point in the year is there's not a lot of attention on it. Like if you look right now, my Twitter notifications are right now at the time of the year, I only have like the big reporters on, and none of them are talking about it. That's what's very concerning. I see retweets from Friedman and Chris Johnston, But that's about it. Oh, something else I want to mention for Ian Cole, I forgot until Emily Kaplan pointed this out. Ian Cole's suspension with Tampa as the team investigates allegations of sexual misconduct with a minor is considered paid leave per a source. It's worth noting the NHL does not have a specific domestic violence policy, which I think we talked about going back, like was being mentioned back in the days of like Sava Voinov.
Yeah, that's not a surprise.
It is.
It's not a surprise. Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess, but it's not a, like, that's just how, that's how, like, that stuff happens in the real, like, outside of sports is the way things go. So, like, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it goes. So that's actually, like, the one good thing that they did out of this story. Like, not that it's good, it's just the right thing they should have done. Suspended him from the team. Like, that's what I think, it's the thing that I've been calling for. I've been saying from, I don't know, since we started talking about these issues 2 years ago, was that how are you holding these people accountable? Like, we talked about when we talked about Mark Bergevin, Kevin Cheveldayoff, and who was it? Stan Bowman. How while the investigation was still going on, how they were in charge and like running the show, how you were allowing that shouldn't have been allowed ever, to be honest. They should, as soon as that investigation started, they should have been suspended, and just the way they did with Ian Cole, essentially, to me.
Let's switch gears to Hockey Canada.
So I have an answer to the question from before, though, about.
Okay, thank you. Please.
So he was arrested on Sunday, so yesterday.
He was arrested. Oh, so it is.
It's extremely recent. Yeah, like yesterday.
You would think now people are gonna look back, though. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah,
especially
sure.
especially because of the Team Canada stuff. But that's wow, recent, eh? That is shocking. Okay, fair enough. Jesus Christ, I don't know what to say about that. Okay, Hockey Canada, of course, had the most recent hearing. Alex, you actually got the chance to watch it or listen or painfully listen to it.
I watched it while I was doing work. Yeah.
Okay, can you please talk us through this? I had class, unfortunately. I only saw the tweets in that, but I feel like you can give us a good experience.
I mean, the tweets were pretty, like, summed it up pretty well. I think I want to start with, I don't know if you guys caught I don't remember if it was the last episode or 2 episodes ago. It was the episode of 32 Thoughts just after after the hearing. And Friedman was talking about the point how, the first time around they did these hearings, there was a sense of, what can we call it? Like being apologetic from Hockey Canada. There was a sense of, like, listen, they didn't do anything. That first hearing was not great, but there was a sense of that there was slight admission of them being wrong. Slight, this much. This time around, it did not. It felt like a complete 180. It felt like they were on the attack and just constantly being defensive. Let's start with, I don't even know, like, where we want to go with this conversation in terms of, like, what topic do you want to start with first? Like, where do we want to go?
What really stood out to me was what was the sort of mention. The feeling I got was there's sort of sense of entitlement.
Yes.
If we go, who's going to keep the lights on?
Ignorance.
You're replaceable. What are you talking about? That was the big thing I had out of it.
It was pure. I heard that and I thought she was joking. Like, it was just pure ignorance on. And listen, and I'm not just talking about Andrea Skinner, who's now resigned, by the way. Classic middle of a Jays game. Classic hockey way to go, right? The NHL has done it. Hockey Canada has done it. Who else? Like, please, we can keep naming people who have done it. I'm talking about Hockey Canada as a whole. The ignorance for them to actually believe that if we are not there or they are not there, who's going to keep the lights on? Let's also, how about the fact that like 10 minutes before that, she was talking about how they were going to go through a set of elections soon to bring in new members, essentially, new board members. Is the way I understood it. So why don't you do it now? Why are you waiting till then? If like I just felt it was such a contradiction for her to say how are we going to keep the lights on, but we're going to have an election relatively soon. How does that? So explain that to me then. What am I missing? What am I missing that first off, like the amount of, imagine being a volunteer, imagine someone who volunteers their time as part of something that's run by Hockey Canada, and to hear a statement like that.
What was it? I'm trying to find this one, like this one tweet that Rick West had that really like hit it. What was it? Liberal MP Anthony Housefather reads from Hockey Canada board meeting, meeting minutes that document. Sorry, wait, hold on. Let me try this again. Liberal MP Anthony Housefather reads from Hockey Canada board meeting that documents how crisis management firm Navigator could not find 3 people to join Hockey Canada's oversight committee. And what was it? Skinner said the candidates were too busy. Was like one thing I know they had mentioned. And then how like they talked about Scott Smith and her basically saying there was an oversight, but we have the people in place who are going to sort of go ahead with our action plan, which sort of contradicts the thing of we're getting new people. But, and also in that thing, she still doesn't say, oh yeah, Scott Smith's the wrong guy. Well, because they're all friends probably.
Did she, I believe it was also Anthony Housefather who asked her, if it wasn't him, I don't remember who it was, who asked her if you had to give Scott Smith a grade based off what he's done, what would you give him? And the audacity to say A+ when he's been in the when he's been in the organization forever. For this, the idea that he's some new face that is going to fix hockey is baloney. He's been in the organization since the 1990s.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how can you say that? There was just so many times where I felt in that hearing that she. Or not that she, like, I don't even want to just put it on her. I want to put it on everybody. They didn't understand what sometimes I feel like they don't understand what they did wrong.
It's almost like they just see it as a bump in the road. They still don't understand, I think, how much change really needs to happen. Like, I don't know how bad you have to screw up where Tim Hortons wants nothing to do with you. Like, there's always that sort of joke of, hey, Tim Hortons in Canada, like, right? Like, I would be amazed if anyone hasn't seen this. A result of this hearing specifically, and apparently there could be a new one, like a new hearing as soon as October 11th, apparently, which for anyone keeping track, they're saying is tomorrow, which probably isn't going to happen now, but this was the sense back then, so it's coming soon. That was from Rick Westhead. Beside the fact that apparently Hockey Canada are fighting the government to not sort of give up their financial records, which is a bit concerning. Like TELUS, Tim Hortons, Canadian Tire, amongst others.
Nike.
I didn't see Nike
Yeah,
hat.
Nike. So they have to have new jerseys soon if the juniors are going to be played.
There are companies that have either pulled out completely or so far just for the year, including the World Juniors, maybe hoping there's going to be a change. Did Nike do it permanently, or have Nike decided to just do the season?
So far, I just said they've been suspended. Partnership with Hockey Canada.
And on top of that, as well, we should mention the provincial hockey associations. Hockey Quebec was the first one, which I thought was shocking, to be honest. No offense to Quebec, but Quebec being the sort of front runner for change. Obviously, I think when it comes to hockey, Quebec is extremely important, obviously. I know everyone goes about like the production of Ontario, but like Quebec hockey is just, I can't really, to someone who's not familiar, I don't think I can really describe how important the game is to Quebec in that, obviously. And not to mention, I think some of the bigger junior tournaments happen in Quebec. Since then, so many of them have either said, stop taking our funding for our enrollments and that, because obviously we don't want to keep funding your, sexual assault cases anymore. That's been happening. They've been calling for change. I don't have an exact list, but it feels like day after day, every single province. I think Hockey Alberta have said something. Ontario did. Obviously, Quebec did. I think the eastern provinces have started saying stuff already. It's literally, it's dominoes. If I seriously don't know, first off, it's amazing to me that like they've had such a bad sort of look when they've been questioned so far, that it has somehow gotten worse and worse. Like, remember we were watching the World Juniors, and I didn't really watch a lot of it, but we saw pictures of the lack of sponsorships on the boards. It's gotten worse. And now you have programs saying we're not giving you money, which, first of all, how is it not like that before? But it shows sort of the lack of action from Hockey Canada. They're not being accountable, but it's rather their supporters are making them accountable, which is just sort of like, you want to hit them over the head with a club and say, for the love of God, take a hint. Okay, no one wants you around.
I have two more things, and then I'm gonna just throw it to you guys for a little bit, because I have a lot of thoughts. So you know how this idea that they kept bringing up in the hearings, where it was, if we're not here, who's going to keep the lights on, blah blah blah, whatever they were saying, though they think they were saying about that. They have now put them, because of their lack of, we'll call it their stubbornness, they have now put themselves in a situation where they're losing sponsorship dollars. The one thing that they didn't want to happen was the one thing that they allowed to happen. By not doing anything, but okay, fine. It wasn't nothing. It was, they introduced education programs, which, sorry, bare minimum. That doesn't mean anything to me. Sorry, that's not when they kept bringing that up in the hearing. That's not the point.
It's like
that's not the point. Yeah. And so they've now put themselves in that position where they're losing millions of dollars in sponsorship dollars. So congratulations for them to doing that to themselves. Secondly, I want to go back to my point real quick, because I just found this tweet about the ignorance and stubbornness of Hockey Canada. This is from Katie Strang. This was in the middle of the meeting. I remember hearing this in my ears and was just stunned at the fact that this was said out loud. So this is the first tweet. Housefather also cited from recent board meeting minutes in which Hockey Canada has internally expressed a need to shift the narrative and to counter reporting on the matter in the press. Okay, it gets better. She follows that tweet up with, Skinner says Hockey Canada has an, quote, excellent reputation, and the board does not find it appropriate to replace senior leadership based on what she describes as, quote, substantial misinformation and unduly cynical attacks. Listen, I am the first one on this 24/7 on this podcast to criticize hockey media for not doing their jobs. I do it all the time. I'm sorry, that ain't it. Like, that's not you. First off, you don't have an excellent reputation. You don't even you can't tell me that outside of these allegations that Hockey Canada's reputation has not taken a hit. Just in general, their Canadian-born players are going to play in college. Tell me why.
It's a better program.
Okay.
They've been falling behind. They have.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So that's outside the excellent reputation, not even true outside of these allegations. And the substantial misinformation and unduly cynical attacks. Imagine the audacity to say that.
They pulled a fake news quote. So they basically said fake news. There's a difference too between not reporting and reporting false information. Reporting false information is almost worse in some points. Now, obviously, there's that the concept of sort of news deserts, right? And sort of not having sort of the proper places of not reporting news. And that's what sort of the big hockey reporters show lack, is they're almost like they're in the desert sometimes. They're not reporting, but sort of the ones who are not giving misinformation here. This is pure. The thing is, right now they're fighting against having information out there by fighting not wanting their financial reports out there. What misinformation? Like, give me evidence. You can't just yell fake news and just be. I don't need to say the specific name of who you sound like, but you sound like a former president right now, trying to like throwing out that gobbledygook. Like, stop it. Look in the mirror, guys. What are we thinking? No one like there is. I love how it wasn't Trudeau was like, listen, if we just have to start a new organization from scratch and call it Hockey Canada just to say start new, we'll do it. Which is like great. Now, obviously, the government are doing it because they want to see that their money's taken care of. But like, and reputation thing, guys, can we just be honest? You use like obviously all different ages pay registration fees, but I don't know the youngest, but like age that you participate in hockey with registration fees. But you use like let's just put this into context and say this black and white here, right? Sometimes you want a bit more nuance, but just to be black and white here, you use children's registration fees to cover up sexual assault. Like, shut up. Like, you have no right to talk and be like great sterling reputation. Like, guys, what was it? The GTHL just had a bunch of stuff, and there's accusations of players using the N-word, and they've just hired a third-party player to come in. There's stuff going on with Akeem Alou and Steve Simmons right now. I didn't want to bring it up because I don't like giving Steve Simmons attention, but that's another sort of thing in the world of hockey right now, because I think Akeem Alou originally was talking about the stuff in the GTHL. GTHL, the biggest league in Canada, I believe, obviously NHL and all that kind of stuff. Like, you have influence over that too. Everything about hockey over the past couple of years has proved to be just, and everything we talk about starting at the grassroots level, you are part of that, and you're clearly part of the problem. What reputation, again, even before this, Alex, it has been down, and even ignoring sort of the programs and going to, guys going to the NCAA and that, there has always been little cracks there of just the sort of effectiveness of Hockey Canada. But what we're really seeing now is just sort of how clueless, and it just seems like prehistoric they are. I hate using this word, but for the love of God, it feels like such white privilege, doesn't it? That's what I'm thinking right now. It's such white privilege. Anyway, I'm done. That's what I had to say. God, they suck. They suck so hard.
Oh, I don't know what to say. Everything's just really disheartening with it, but I've used this a lot before already on the podcast when I do mention that I didn't expect anything else or anything better from Hockey Canada at this point, where I just kind of feel like they're not reading the room in any way. Like, it's all of this is mounting, and the way they've been just treating everything is like, hey, okay, yeah, this stuff, like, my feeling is this, like, they're thinking and their explanations like, okay, this stuff's already happening, but how about we get back to hockey at this point, or let's focus on something else, or the season's starting, and it's just really tough, where I really have felt that, and a lot of people on Twitter have mentioned it too, a lot of reporters that saying that Hockey Canada is not hockey in Canada. It's something where we look at this organization and we look at what it's been able to do, but I just don't want it to be something where we've seen in other instances already, where it's like, all right, like, we've already addressed this, like, what else would you want? And the fact that more and more is coming out, it just goes to show that no, like, this has to be something that has to keep on going.
I like you saying them thinking, let's just go back to hockey now. Like that, I think that's a very good way of putting it. Because God doesn't feel like, okay, yeah, it's done. Okay, and hockey now. Ooh, no. Oh.
It just, I don't know. There's already been calls nationally for like changes in management. It's such like a snail pace for it, where the people who are resigning is like, okay, great, yeah, what about like, the top echelon and everybody else that, I do not like it. Just for me, like, how do you think you could still keep your job
The
after
ego.
all of this.
Such
After all of
egos.
this, that more and more will come out, and like the perception is going to be different. Like it's not going to be the same. More like everyone's going to rally around. Like, okay, how about guys? Like let's focus on the World Juniors now. Let's focus on WHF like tournaments moving forward. It's not going to be the same.
Yeah, it's brutal. Like it's just like I said it last episode, or whenever the last time we talked about it, it might have been 2 episodes ago now. In this country, the fact that every political party, because if you go and watch this, you'll see you have members from the Liberals, from the Conservatives, from the NDPs, from the frickin' Bloc Québécois. Okay, like everyone.
Yeah, that's
And they're no, that's not that. I wasn't making that comment. I was just noting the vast.
Don't worry. When the blocks involved, like come on.
The vast
If you got a lower
political
moral bar
parties,
than the block, like come on.
the political parties involved in this, and they're all on the same side. It's incredible. They're all on the same side about this. It's insane. I do want to bring up one more thing from this hearing, unless there's more we want to talk, unless there's other stuff that I've missed.
Go ahead.
I want to bring this up because it goes back to the accountability. It goes back to the deflection that Hockey Canada has been doing. This is, again, Katie Strang tweet. This was in the middle of the press conference. MP Lisa Hepfer drills down with Skinner on her assertion that it is unfair to scapegoat hockey for cultural issues. Skinner says sexual assault and mistreatment of women is a societal problem. I think we need to not just sit back and condemn hockey. And Andrea Skinner, I wholeheartedly agree with you. But again, it's either the lack of ignorance, or the massive amounts of ignorance, or the lack of understanding that we are here to talk about hockey. No one's telling you. It goes back to racism exists outside of hockey. I understand. We're not talking about everything else. We're talking about this issue. And in this case, you are the perpetrator. You are Hockey Canada. Like it's not, I agree. You're right. There's a bigger problem here than just hockey. But number one, first off, the biggest thing is you are receiving money from the federal government. They have every damn right to demand answers to their questions, mm-hmm. And you're not giving it to them. You are deflecting. And you are putting blame on others and not taking accountability for the lack of your actions.
And when you think about when they mention hockey and hockey culture, they're arguably the biggest forefront of what you believe hockey is in this country, where the regional teams aside, you look at every level of what Hockey Canada has touched.
In the fabric of this whole country, that means more. Listen, it's like that argument of a player gets paid this amount of money, they should perform up to that level, but can you do that injury, whatever, right? There's a certain expectation that goes with that. When you are in that position of power, or any sort of position of power, the expectations are different for you. The level of expectation is different for you. And that's just something they don't understand. Or they're just too stupid, or they're too arrogant to think. They think they're bigger than the game itself. I don't know. I think that's a good way to end it, though. Unless you guys have anything else to say.
No. Great.
I mean, I'm sure, but I don't know.
There will be a lot more coming.
Yeah, this isn't the end. This isn't the end.
Yes.
But we're still waiting for what is the 2003 stuff. We still need a resolution about sort of the World Junior team that started all of this. There's a lot. There's a lot. Yeah. And then we'll see what happens if the government do dig up this sort of it's the government. Like I feel like if they want to see these financial records, they're gonna see them.
Mm-hmm.
Because who are you gonna complain to? It's the government. just they'll figure it out. Okay. Thank you for listening as always. Soon we got to figure out how we're going to do 2 episodes a week.
We will. We'll talk about it this week.
Because we have hockey to talk about. Because hockey is coming about. We'd love to just talk about the game and stupid trades and whatnot, but there's an obligation to talk about more than just that.
I can't believe we didn't talk about Jason Dickinson.
What happened with Jason Dickinson?
He got traded.
What?
Yeah.
For Riley Stillman Dickinson a second and for Riley Stillman.
When?
It was a cap
on the 7th. On Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Vancouver were looking to move money, weren't they? No. He wasn't Vancouver, right?
Yeah.
Man, I thought that was a good signing. It just didn't work. We still don't know what's going on with Rachel Dory, too. There's so much going on. Yeah, we need to. There was honestly, I wanted to spend more time on roster stuff, but there was just too many important things to talk about. So we're at that point. We need to go back to a week. So we'll figure that out. And yeah, we'll see you all next time.